Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Whole Child Wednesday. We are so excited to have you guys to join us again. We have a few special guests on with us, but before we get into that, I want to ask you guys to please make sure you share this video so that others can know what we're here talking about. Also, if you have questions, place them in the comments. We do have someone moderating, and they will let us know. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Patricia.
All right. Thank you, Janelle. It's always a pleasure to be here with our families and with our students, and also in the presence of our special guests. So I know we're not able to see one another as closely as we were maybe 3 months ago, but it's great
Right.
to see
Yeah.
faces and to just kind of have good conversations.
Yeah.
So, as we all know, we've been visiting you all for maybe 7 weeks or so now, Janelle.
That's right. That's
Uh-huh.
right.
It's
It's
been a
7 weeks,
nice.
7 good weeks.
Yeah, 7 good weeks. And we've been sharing tips just for families and for students. The goal is just to make sure that we all stay healthy. So we've
That's
been
right.
talking about just great social skills and emotional skills. And we've been showing great videos just to make sure we're educating everyone. Today we do have extremely special guests with us. Every week we have special guests.
That's right.
We have an extremely special guest that actually needs no introduction, but we do have our superintendent, Dr. Johnson, with us for possibly our final show. We don't know yet. And then we also have a special guest, one of our social workers. We have Amanda with us, and we have a school counselor, Rocco, with us. And I'm going to ask them if they would just introduce themselves and maybe tell a little something about themselves before we dig a little bit deeper into the show. Rocco, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. My name is Rocco Mansueto. I'm the school counselor at Big Ridge Elementary School here in Hickson. And a little bit about myself. I have an identical twin brother, and every day I get bombarded with 20 kids who think I'm him, and vice versa. So it's great. Chattanooga is an amazing community, and I'm excited to be here. I appreciate the invite.
Excellent. Amanda?
Hi, I'm Amanda Mallard. I'm the social worker at Woodmore Elementary and Dalewood Middle School. I have a 10-month-old and two stepdaughters that are in the Hamilton County school system. And I currently just got a new Fitbit for Mother's Day. So I've been, taking more walks around the neighborhood.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, Dr. Johnson.
Hey, Brian Johnson, Superintendent, Hamilton County. Appreciate you all having me here today, and appreciate the work you all have done over the last several weeks to really elevate the conversation about supporting the whole child. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we love to start with a theme. We always try to focus on uh, just at least one thing, something that we can concentrate on to kind of build our social emotional development, as well as just to make sure we're mentally healthy. But today we're going to kind of have a broad focus. We're just going to talk about staying mentally healthy and then just making sure that we are educating the whole child. I know last week Janelle and I we talked a little bit about the difference between mental health and physical health,
Yeah.
and we discuss how often we go to the doctor for a checkup, or annually we go for a checkup, but then what are we doing for our mental state? Are we going mentally for a mental checkup? So the mind is just as important as the body is, so we want to make sure that we're sharing tips to mentally strengthen ourselves. Along with our videos, I do want us to dig a little bit deeper into conversation. So we all know that over the last couple of weeks, several months, that we've been experiencing change due to COVID-19, change due to the tornadoes that impacted our community. And I'm wondering about your thoughts on ways that we are navigating these changes for our families. How do you think we could take some of the changes that have been happening and leverage those changes to come out better when we return to school, better for our kids and presenting a better education for our students? I would love for you guys to weigh in on that. And especially Dr. Johnson, this is a question that I definitely want the community to hear from you. How can we leverage some of these changes that we've experienced to create a better education for our students?
I'm happy to weigh in, and then I'll let the real experts speak. when I'm done. So, I think that obviously COVID-19 has presented a unique challenge for our system, no different than any system, frankly, across the country. And the thing that I think people have come to really appreciate is the work that transpires in school buildings. I'll speak as a parent myself. I so value even more than ever before his teachers and the leadership and the counselors and everybody that's there to support my child. And so when I think about going forward, what it's going to take, the reality is we've elevated our focus around whole child supports, mental health, behavioral health, social emotional needs of students, making sure that we're elevating the number of resources, or increasing the number of resources that are available in buildings. But as we've moved into this new environment, and that's why I appreciate this platform, I think you all have done a great job of trying to continue to engage and share ideas and ways in which we can have students and families plug in. And so I think that'll remain an area of focus. I think, obviously the modalities in which we are engaging have been shifted and transformed. And so, it's really shifted our mindset. I think in a large part, we're thinking everything, pre-COVID-19, it felt like most of things had to be face to face. But there's power in this type of platform and being able to get on the other line with a parent or family and to have dialogue about how we might come alongside a student or family and support them. And so, ultimately, I think this moment will make us more nimble as a school system in our ability to respond to the needs. And also, again, being really mindful that this season is really challenging, and not missing the importance of personal direct engagement and trying to continue that as much as we can.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. That's great. Very good. Our counselor and social worker, would you like to weigh in, Amanda or Rocco?
I would say, like, when you're looking at the whole child and the wellness of them, we really have been doing a good job of looking at overall with the child. I mean, I've seen, like, with my own children being in the school system as well, um, looking at just the emotional support the teachers have been providing during classes, such as giving time to recognize birthdays, or giving children, the time to just talk about what they did over the weekend. Also with, like, providing physical supports, like the bus coming around and providing lunch and breakfast for students. And, as a social worker, I spend a lot of my time connecting families with what's going on at the school. And during this process, I've been, having to connect with families in a whole different way, whether it be through Zoom meetings or making phone calls. And it's difficult for parents as well, especially if they don't have the technology or if they didn't have Chromebooks before, and kind of helping families with that learning curve as well. So I think for us in the future, one of the things that has definitely changed is just having a better community support overall. I've made a lot of community resources I didn't know about before. So I think continuing to build that community support for the schools will help us close that gap for our students as well.
Yeah, I think that's great. And Amanda, one of the things I've seen with our social workers, especially working on that care team, is that you all have been able to directly do what social workers do. So
Mhm.
you're connecting with families and connecting them to resources. And there's even been a few just practicing social distancing have gone by homes just to make sure they could see a kid's face. So
Yeah.
we really appreciate that work, and it's been nice to see you all do that.
Yeah, especially with the tornado happening and things like that. I've seen social workers dropping off supplies at families' houses that weren't able to get out, dropping off like paperwork that they need to fill out to get, like, you know food stamps, money back on their card, different things like that. So it's been different, but keeping that social distance as well is really important.
Yep, very good.
Yeah, I think the current situation has magnified the importance of the essentials, right? So my hope is we continue to understand and keep that in mind, even if we are back into a traditional setting in August. Of just learning cannot occur unless those essentials are met. So regardless of whether we're in a traditional or non-traditional setting, how do we continue to keep in mind, are the essentials for this particular student being met? If not, then how do we connect the dots as educators? So my hope is that that never stops. So that's number one. And then number two, I continue to hear these stories about other skill sets being built during this time. And we released a really good video last week about a collection of our Big Ridge students and what other skill sets like independence, kids making their own lunches, right? Contributing to the household, doing additional chores. So I look at that and I look at, I'm not sure if there's any silver lining to the current situation. But I look at some of those things that are currently being built at the house for a lot of kids as positives as well,
Yep.
you know.
Very
So,
good. Very good. All right. So I have one more question before we kind of jump into some of our videos. And Dr. Johnson, I would love for you to address with all of everything we just discussed, COVID-19, just kind of returning back to school better whenever that happens, or however that happens. Why do you think it's important for us to lean into self-care and this social emotional learning and development?
Absolutely. Well, I think this season has, if nothing else, really elevated the importance of that. I think as mentioned, whether it was Rocco or Amanda, one of them mentioned the fact that there's some things that we've taken for granted. I believe in large part, and it's really increased the appreciation that I feel that everybody has around self care and really the whole child needs of students. There are so many kids that are in environments that are unstable and have situations where they need additional support, and that's not going away. And frankly speaking, when I think about a school for many kids is offering them, 7.5 hours a day of stability. And when you lose that opportunity to come to that oftentimes safest place for some kids and engage with, the most stable, sometimes adults that you're going to see or experience, it can create a void. And I know that so many of our kids are and have experienced that. And everything that our teachers have done, everything that our counselors and social workers have done to continue to engage them has and will remain important. And I hope that obviously there's a resurgence or a renewal or a reminder in regards to the level of importance that supporting the whole child and self-care has on employees and students and our entire Hamilton County team.
Yep, absolutely. And thank you for sharing that. Thank you for saying that. I know often when we take a word such as self-care and we unpack that, we help the community on this platform to understand what that means because it can mean something different for everyone. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to have this time with our community to unpack some of the words such as self-care and social emotional learning and self-discipline. So that way we'll all have a shared understanding of what that means when we say these things. So thank you. What we'll do is we'll roll into our very first video. And this video is going to be introduced by Rocco. And I love it because it talks a little bit about instant gratification. And as you know, I can kind of connect with this because as a kid, I was taught early on that, instant gratification is something that we can't have all the time. So Rocco, you want to tell us a little bit about your video before we show it?
yeah, I'm not sure I got good at impulse control until my late 20s. So this video is good with impulse control, and regardless of what they choose, you'll see with the video right now, if they have a selection of 2 cookies now or 4 cookies later, it just poses for good communication as far as patience is something that's valued. It's super important. Um, Sometimes things are going to take time. Sometimes our work ethic, we will not see the end result for a while. So I just love this video, and it's fun, and we get an idea of where their brains are at. And of course, we would want that child to say, "I'll wait for those 4 cookies." But regardless, it's a good talking point for a parent and an educator.
Okay, Big Ridge family, we have a counselor challenge. This is a simple question that could lead to a valuable answer. It is immediate gratification versus delayed gratification and a little bit of picking our nose, I see. All right, so here's the test. We are going to give the kids 2 options. You could use any treat in this. Skittles, we are using Girl Scout cookies. Here is the question. You could have 2 Girl Scout cookies now, or 4 Girl Scout cookies after dinner. One leads to immediate gratification, the other leads to delayed gratification. Both answers allow for good talking points with your kids. Which one are you munchkins going to choose?
Eating it after dinner.
Sophia picks 4 after dinner. Micah?
I pick 4 after dinner.
I
I
really
tried
love
to
that.
teach him not to pick his nose, but what are you going to do?
I love that. I love that. So, can we just talk a little bit more about um, the ability to teaching kids the ability to wait? So, I think that's just so critical, and I would love for all of us just to kind of weigh in on that. That is so critical because kids are not going to always be kids; they grow up, right? So, and if you don't learn how to wait as a kid, you become this what kind of adult? So can we just talk a little bit about the importance of teaching delayed gratification?
Yeah, I think first we have to be self-aware of our own ability to be able to do that. And then find really creative ways of teaching children how to do that. And that was just one of the many ways that you could try to sneak that in there. And then what does waiting look like too? Because that's super important discussion to have, because they could wait and drive you mad, but have a better understanding of what patience truly looks like. I think that's also important to do as well.
Yep. Right. Janelle. So Janelle is an honorary counselor. So her mom is a therapist. So she, any question I ask her, she's on it. She gets it, she's on it. So I
try
can never
to be.
catch her off guard.
Okay, so repeat the question again.
So you have a daughter. What are some of the things that you do to teach her to wait? Sometimes it's just wait because I said wait.
Right. Yeah. So sometimes I ask her some of the questions like what Rocco said, like, would you rather have this or would you rather have that? Just a couple days ago, I had a meeting, but I had like maybe about 30 or 45 minutes before that meeting. But after the meeting, I didn't have anything left. So I said, you want to go walk, you want to go ride your scooter. If we do it now, we only have like about 30 minutes. But if you wait, then we'll have, however long you want. And of course, she said she wanted to go right then and there. And so I said, okay. And I just kind of let her, quote unquote, eat that. And so when we got back home, she said, man, I really wish that I would have waited. And so I asked some of those questions, like what Rocco asks his kids, really on a regular basis, just so that she knows. Sometimes if you wait, it turns out a little bit better than if you just had to have it right then and there.
Yep. Yep. You're right. And I can remember the old test, the marshmallow test, where they put kids in a room similar to what Rocco just did, and they kind of track those kids throughout time, and they mentioned that kids that learn how to delay gratification, they're more successful in their future. So because they don't have to have it right
Yeah.
then and there. But it's hard, and especially as a kid, it's hard. So all right. So Rocco, I think we have another video of yours around kindness. I think that's the next video. Would you tell us about that one, and we'll roll right into it?
Yeah, our neighborhood is built, it's like a small pool of Big Ridge students. So one, we're able to preserve those social connections with the kids, even with us being out of school, which is nice to see. But it does provide a little pool of little random acts of kindness. So there's an awesome quote, and it was in Silverstein, his book of poems is, don't tell me how I should act or behave, show me how I should act or behave. So, and it's hard too, because even from the impulsive control standpoint, as a child, I was not taught that. So I had to learn those skills along the way. And that's a skill set that I think is incredibly valuable as a kid. Definitely more so than learning it as an adult. So those little random acts of kindness, they don't have to always be huge. They don't have to be big and time consuming. They could be the smallest thing in the world. And you'll see with that video.
Okay, Big Ridge family, we have Counselor Challenge, we have Simple Acts of Kindness, and our Mogwais are running a Simple Act of Kindness, though this one is quite difficult. I had to really work hard to convince the wife. A roll of toilet paper for our neighbors. Might be regretting that one later. Simple Acts of Kindness. Ready, set, go.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And as you mentioned, those are things that we teach kids at an early age. And sometimes they don't cost anything, just to smile at someone or say something kind. So very critical. You're doing good work, Rocco. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So our next video, are we making trail mix? Is that what we're doing next?
I think we're going to be making trail mix. We have Frida McCray, who is the community school coordinator at Dalewood Middle School. And so she's just going to show us how to make this snack. It's a great activity to do for the whole family. And she has a list of ingredients that I believe she's going to share with us that you guys can take it and kind of recreate this afterwards. So gather the kids around and let's make some trail mix.
Hello, my name is Frida McCray, and I work for On Point. I'm the community school coordinator at Dalewood Middle School. Today, I am going to be showing you how to make a couple of snacks that you can just kind of snack on while you're at the house, working from home, or the kids are home doing school, and all of that good stuff. So one snack might be a little bit more for the adults, and the other one is definitely kid-friendly, kid-approved. So for the first one, you can pretty much use any variation of crackers that you like or snack type foods. Today I'm going to use some Cheez-Its, some oyster crackers, pretzels, and Wheat Thins. So you just kind of for oyster crackers, I do use a little bit more because they're smaller. So toss the oyster crackers, your pretzels if that's what you're going to use. You can use pretzel sticks if you want. Your Wheat Thins, toss them in. And then your Cheez-Its. So for the seasoning for these, you need a little bit of dry mustard seasoning and a ranch packet. So you toss those things in. I've kind of tossed mine in already. I like to mix in a bowl that has a top. So then I can just put the top on and kind of shake things up. Okay, and so next you want to get a cookie sheet. I like to line mine with foil because it makes cleanup easier and there's not as much getting stuck to it. Just kind of shake it out as evenly as you can. I'll try to knock that last little bit of seasoning out of the bowl so we can be sure to taste really good. Okay, so after you do that, you want to take some melted butter. I use about a half a cup, melt it in the microwave, and you just kind of pour it over. You want to make sure, this helps to get the seasoning stuck on there really good, so when you take it out, it doesn't just taste like you mixed all this stuff together. Everything tastes like one thing, as opposed to just, oh, I took some Cheez-Its out of mine. So after you put the butter on there, you'll stick it in the oven on about 250 for a while until you can tell that everything has kind of come together. All right. So the next one is one that I have done with children before, and you can make it with so many different things that whatever you have at home, I say use it. The next snack that we are going to make, you really can just throw in whatever you have. So I'm going to throw in some of the things that I like to put in it, and I'm also going to make some suggestions for other things. So I like to use the corn shakes no matter what. The honey shakes is optional. There is another Chex cereal that I don't have that is really good, especially if you're making it for kids. It's a vanilla Chex. It's frosted. It's a little sweeter. Kids love it. So if you're making it for some kids to eat, I would definitely try to find that one and toss it in. You can also use Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Who doesn't love Cinnamon Toast Crunch, especially if you're making it for the kids? So start out with some corn checks. And the amount that you're going to use just depends on how much mix you're going to make. So if I had to estimate, because to be honest, I'm not much of a measuring cook, but if I had to estimate, I would say maybe 1.5 cups of the cereals. So now we're going to add the honey nut check. So if you like almonds or pecans or anything like that, any type of nuts, you can add those in here. If you are allergic, you can leave them out, or if you just don't like them like me. I don't really like peanuts for real. I only really like dry roasted peanuts. So I'll add in dry roasted peanuts. This is the part that I think makes it a little different. I like to add in craisin, so it gives it a bit of a tangy kind of feel. And it goes perfectly mixing it in with the peanuts and the sweet and the salty. It's perfect. So I have some granola here. I'm not going to put it in today just because I don't really want to. But if you like granola, you can add it in. There's some granola that has pecans in it. You can try that. If you're making it for the kids, you can add M&Ms. Or I just have chocolate chips right here. So adding the chocolate chips just makes it a little sweeter. I don't add a lot because I mean they're chocolate chips. So I don't feel the need to add a lot of them. So this is the perfect time that if you have some little helpers at home, for them to get their hands in, mix everything up, and it's super fun because that's really, once you mix it up, it's done. So I do like to put it in Ziploc bags just to kind of portion it out so that we're not constantly scooping out of a bowl or walking and eating out of a bowl all day. I like to put it in Ziploc bags, put it in the pantry, and then that's the snack for the day. It's not super fattening, no salt. You got some Chex, you got some peanuts, any of the stuff that you like. Like I said, if you're making it for the kids, you may want to make it a little bit sweeter, but that's completely up to you, okay? So this one is pretty much done. So now it's been about 10, maybe 12 minutes since I put the first mix in the oven. And I've checked on it a couple of times. I can smell the seasoning that I put on it. The cheeses are starting to get a little more brown as well as the wheat thins, and that's when I know that it's pretty much done. So after about 10, 12 minutes, on about 250, and you can see the color starting to change specifically on those crackers. So like the wheat thins, the oyster crackers, the Cheez-Its, that's when you know that it's pretty much ready to come out. So it smells really good. That dry mustard gives it a really good smell. It balances out the ranch packet perfectly. Set it to the side, let it cool off. And then once again, just to kind of portion it out, you may want to put it in some Ziploc bags, as well as, you know, that other snack. Put it in the cabinet, and it's your snack for the day. So I hope that you guys like these snacks. You can find stuff like this on Pinterest. I've kind of been doing it since we've been working from home because, you know, you're at home and you want a snack, and it gets kind of costly. With these two snacks, you got snacks for at least a week. So it works out. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Wow.
That is awesome.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so simple too.
Very simple. So when we start to talk about, you know, educating the whole child, it's not just about lessons that we can do, like as far as like in school lessons, but we think about creative things we can do, like cooking with your child or just preparing a snack. I like that she created an adult version and a kids version. So one of the things, and I'll tell you this, I hope she wouldn't mind. But when I asked her if, you know, she would do a little trail mix or something for us because honestly, she volunteered for it a couple of weeks ago. And I use a stove because we don't want to be responsible for, you know, kids using a stove. But she created an adult snack and a kid snack. And with the kid snack, All they needed were the ingredients, and the ingredients can be found on our webpage. So cereal, nuts or raisins or things like that. And that's something fun and creative that a kid could do. And it also teaches them because you can measure it out and, collaboration, you could work together or have them to work by themselves. So
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome.
I thought that was fantastic. So Amanda?
Yeah, I was going to also say I work with Frida at Dalewood quite often, and I love her. And I'm glad that she made the snacks like healthy, because I know, at least for me, being quarantined, sometimes it's easier to grab a bag of chips or you feel like it, but making those healthy choices, especially when you're at home, is very important.
Yeah. Yep, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So that's why we say, just as important as it is for us to stay physically healthy, we have to stay mentally healthy. You want to eat healthy snacks. So whole child learning, that's what we're doing here. So I know we have one more video coming up, and Amanda's going to talk to us about it.
Yes, so our last video is about being a bucket filler. So filling your bucket means that you're intentionally doing things to make your mental and emotional self happier. So you're going out of your way to either maybe make somebody else smile, give somebody else a hug, do a kind gesture like putting toilet paper in somebody's mailbox, those kind of things. And when you're filling up somebody else's bucket and doing those kind of things for somebody else, you're also filling up your own bucket at the same time. It makes us all feel better when we do something kind for someone else. So just passing on that kindness to other people. And as adults, it's really important for us to be the role models for our children, whether we're in school or at home. So going out of our way to do kind things for each other, doing kind things for our spouse, so our children see that. So there's lots of ways that you can be a bucket filler.
My name is Evelyn Sims, and I'm a social worker with Hamilton County Schools. I just want to talk to you a little bit about champions making a difference by filling buckets, but it's a way of really sharing good feelings with one another. I first learned about bucket filling and the comfort for social workers and counselors with our district a few years ago. The speaker, Carol McLeod, spoke about the concept of bucket filling, which is just a method of showing kindness, appreciation, and love on a daily basis, thereby producing positive behavior. She talked about what she learned from an expert in infant brain research, who said that it is helpful to think of every baby as being born with an invisible bucket. The bucket represents a child's mental and emotional health. You can't see the bucket, but it's still there. She went on to say it is primarily the parent's responsibility to fill a child's bucket. When you hold, caress, nurture, even touch or sing with your child, is providing loving attention. That's the basic concept of giving love that fills buckets. In addition to being loved, children must also be taught how to love others. Children who learn how to express kindness and love lead happier lives. When you love and care about others and show that love with what you say and do, you feel good and you fill your own buckets too, because we all have buckets. Today, teachers, parents, as you are working from home and have children of your own, you are charged with an even greater task than normal, with managing your work schedules and your children's assignments. It can be somewhat challenging to work from home and do homeschooling all at the same time. I'm sure you've run into many conflicts of being in close quarters with others of different ages, even adults, even your husband or your wife. Just the common things with children getting along with others, small disagreements, or just rude remarks to each other. And actually, while you may have even indulged in some yourself, it's easy to be stressed and short-tempered with your kiddos and other family members during this time. It's easy to dip into their buckets and not be conscientious of their feelings and thereby decreasing self-esteem. Now, using the concepts in this heartwarming book, in this heartwarming book, which is Have You Filled a Bucket Today? It's a guide to daily happiness by Carol McLeod for kids. It's a great way to encourage positive behavior. As children see how very easy and rewarding it is to express kindness, appreciation, and love on a daily basis. So today we're going to look at how to fill a bucket, how to empty buckets, and how to protect what's in them. If you want to have a full bucket and a happy life, be a bucket filler. And who is a bucket filler? A bucket filler is someone who says or does nice or kind things for other people. Every time you say or do something caring or thoughtful, you add good feelings and thoughts. A way to fill buckets is by just giving some encouragement or praise, common courtesies of saying please and thank you, being appreciative, making parents and children feel welcome, compliments, special acts of kindness, even just that smiling. And now that we're home, just even a good morning with a smile. Being positive, look for the good stuff in people and overlook the not so good stuff. Treating people with respect, and then hanging out with other bucket fillers. You know, some of the things, we can do to encourage one another is by saying, I'm proud of you, or you're doing a great job, or even just being appreciative of some of the things that they do and not overlooking them. Giving those thumbs up, waves, wink, hand claps, which we're not doing much of right now, but we could do our own. The law of bucket filling, and this is the law, when you fill someone else's bucket, you actually fill your own. The more you fill buckets, the quicker your bucket fills up. One of the things that I love is a quote by Maya Angelou. She said, people may forget what you said. People may not even remember what you did, but people will always remember the way you made them feel. That is so true. And it's so true, especially with our young ones. So go ahead and touch someone's heart, and that child or that person will never forget it. But on the other hand, what is bucket dipping? Bucket dipping is saying or doing something mean or rude, and that removes the good thoughts and feelings that are in someone's bucket. Sometimes just one thing you can say can either help someone or it can actually hurt someone. Bucket dipping is being rude, lack of acknowledgement, or even acting indifferent, whatever, devaluing children's work. And this is so important as you're doing your homeschooling or even as parents are working with their children. They're doing sometimes, children are children and they can be expected to do the same thing as an adult or even demeaning. And you all know what that is. Rolling eyes, frowning, even that tone of voice. Bucket dipping is also ignoring, showing a lack of respect. All of those things take out of a bucket. Being careless, reacting too quickly, not thinking about what you say or how you even say it, losing control, jumping to conclusions. So the law of bucket dipping is taking the good stuff out. When you dip into someone else's bucket, you actually dip into your own. The more you dip into buckets, the emptier your bucket will become. You're most likely to dip when your own bucket is empty. That's when it occurs most often, Empty bucket, when your bucket is empty, it contains few, if any, positive thoughts or feelings. When your bucket is empty, you can easily become sad, negative, insecure, nervous, anxious, stressed, worried, afraid, or angry, or even physically ill. When you experience any of these feelings, it's easy to believe that life is just too challenging and that nothing you attempt will be successful. An empty bucket can affect your behavior and can cause you to express your emotions in a way that empties the buckets of all of those around you. And one way of controlling that is being aware of it, putting a lid on it. Sometimes, you know, you have to control how much is taken out. Sometimes you have to take a step back, take a few deep breaths, relax. Sometimes you have to almost put yourself in time out just for a short period so you can get control of how much that you're losing in your own bucket. It helps you to stop and think. The thoughtful, clear thinking part of yourself, that's what you want to be able to get to. And it allows you to understand what is going on even with the other person and being aware of what's going on within yourself. So put a lid on it. One of the things is a quote by Becky Bailey. She's the author of Conscious Discipline. She said that be a safekeeper, be a star instead of a nut. Wish well instead of judging, and see the best in each other. You know, sometimes it's best to, you know, every battle is not one that you even have to fight. Sometimes it's best to let things just roll off your back like a duck, you know, and just keep on going. And then look at misbehavior as a call for help, especially in children. Last, take care of yourself emotionally, physically, spiritually, and mentally. You know, be in check, keep in check your emotions. Do some physical activities. Those of you that are spiritual, you know, use your faith, your prayers, you know, and check out how you're feeling. The better balance and in shape you are, the better teacher, the better person, the better coworker, the better spouse you will be. Your students, your children, your family desperately needs you at the top of your game every single day. You know, the school year, which we have all the time, is a marathon, not a sprint. Conscious effort must be put into making you and your overall health a priority, no matter how busy you are. So, be a bucket filler. Being a bucket filler is a choice. You decide.
Wow.
You're good.
Yes.
I was
Very good.
I was gonna say this video, it's perfect for Evelyn to have done because she is such a bucket filler. She's always so positive with the people that she's around. And one of my favorite things that she said in this is surrounding yourself with other people that are bucket fillers. Because when you're around people that are positive and happy, you're gonna feel, you know, happier. So even though it's hard with all of us being at home and maybe you're not around that many people, staying positive and happy for the people that are around you will help them stay positive and happy as well.
Yeah. She made a lot of great points, and that's just it's a great book. So there are different versions of the book. It's just a great book to read often, and for us just to kind of remember some of the points in it often, because it is critical the way that we treat each other, the way that we treat ourselves. It's important. So as I was listening to that, I was wondering about you all and thinking about the video that Rocco created about being kind, and just even the great resources. Rocco, you sent a lot of great resources to us that we've shared on this show, so I really appreciate that. But I was wondering if anyone has done anything for you all this week or recently that has filled your buckets, and if you wouldn't mind sharing about that.
I'll go. My mom has this habit of almost every day, like she'll wake up and send us either a YouTube video or Bible verse or something that's encouraging, and that's just always a very good way for me to start my day, and helps me to get up out the bed and say, okay, I can go on. I'm feeling a little bit more encouraged. So
Yeah, that's
she
good.
fills my bucket.
That's good. Your mom's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can't undervalue. I love the end of that book and the point she made about just how do we invest in ourselves physically and mentally. So my wife bought her and I one of those Echelon kind of stationary bikes, and I think it's just so valuable. Educators and parents, we have a difficult time saying no, and because of that, we will extend ourselves. But it's just incredibly valuable for us to carve out 30 minutes to 60 minutes a day. And that looks different for everybody. It could be meditation, could be movement. But I think that when we do that, we could retract, and then we get a little bit more strength, because I think we are weak when we are extended, but we are stubborn. We really have a difficult time saying no. So how do we carve out that time for ourselves? So my wife did something nice, but then I also have to be stubborn enough and strong enough and confident enough in my ability to say, hey, I'm carving out 30 to 60 minutes a day for myself, because at the end of the day, no one else is going to do that for me. So, it's a hard decision for us to make, but we have to make that decision daily. I think we really do.
Yep, you're right. You're right. And as leaders, I agree, that's a struggle for us. We're so accustomed to taking care of everyone else, and then we put ourselves last on the priority list, and we have to do better. Yep. Has anyone filled your bucket this week, Amanda?
Yes, I'd say since this was my first official Mother's Day with my 10-month-old, so not being able to go out and have like the traditional like Mother's Day brunch or anything like that, my husband went out of his way to make it really special for me. So I appreciate that. And then also Frida, who we saw her video earlier, sent our team all thank you cards for the year. So that was really special getting that because it was unexpected.
That's awesome. Very good. Very good. See if I can think of, there are lots of things that happen throughout the week. Actually, Dr. Johnson being a part of the show was great. So that just shows that he values the work. And that's, I always appreciate those that value efforts that we put forth. So that was a drop in the bucket that I greatly appreciate. And just our team, the work that you all have done. You guys are probably more excited than me to jump on here, and you're always ready to start the show. So it's just been a great team to work with. So yeah, it's been great. So we're at the end of our show for today. So Janelle, do you want to share any updates, or for our special guest, do you all have any last words that you would like to share before Janelle wraps us up?
It's like
no. Okay. All right, take it away, Janelle.
Just a couple of things. So we are coming up on the last day of the school year. And so no one ever imagined that this is how we would end the school year, but we're coming up on the last day, but the learning does not stop. And so we'll have some more announcements coming about what summer learning is going to look like. But I do have an exciting announcement about the hotline that you've been able to call that has been staffed by amazing social workers and truancy officers from the district. That is going to run throughout the summer. And so if you have questions really about anything, you can call that number. It's 423-498-KIDS, I believe. Double check that, make sure that's right. Yes, it's 423-498-KIDS. And so that will be up all summer for you guys. Also want to send a shout out to the class of 2020. I could not imagine ending my senior year in this way, but you guys have been rocking it out. So congratulations. And we know you guys have nothing but great things ahead of you. So this is our last show for the school year. We may be back on, wink, wink, Patricia. But do want to thank you guys for tuning in and just kind of riding with us for these last few weeks. And we hope to see you guys soon. Thank you all for tuning in, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.